A few months back, I was working on a baby birth announcement card, which had as main theme something precious from the sea. The centerpiece of each card was one of these little shells that had been ground down on a belt sander to reveal the inside spirals. So here I was grinding down on quite a lot of these shells, and I had these bigger shells left over on the side, and I was really curious to see if I could do the same process with the big shells, and if so, what would they look like? As you can see, these look quite amazing, and it's really interesting to see the inner structure of the shell. To clean them, we simply ran them through a couple of cycles in the dishwasher, which did a great job in getting rid of all the sand, dirt and grime that was left over from years and years of being in the sea, in the sand, in the dirt. To mount them, I'm going to be using bike wheel spokes, and there are two reasons that make these simply perfect for my needs. One, they're very straight, strong and plain stainless steel that does actually look quite good. And two, they're threaded on the tip, which is going to be crucial moving forwards. Originally, the threading is used to tighten the spoke on the wheel, but in this case, we're going to use the threading to get some really strong grip on the glue and leather we'll be attaching to it. First of all, I'll cut these down to size and make them a bit more manageable. Throughout this project, the tool I'll be using most is my Dremel, which is incredibly handy for a small DIY project like this one. And if you don't already have one in your shop, this is actually one of those tools which I do recommend to everyone to have one lying around, because they're actually relatively inexpensive and come with a huge amount of attachments which make it incredibly useful. Using a piece of sandpaper, I make sure the cut ends don't have any sharp bits poking out. Then I'll clean them up using some white spirit to remove anything that could be on the surface and make sure nothing will get between the spoke and the cement glue I'll be using later. I have an old piece of scrap vegetable tanned leather that will be a great material for supporting the shell. It's strong, malleable and can easily be worked into the required shape. I really don't need much, as a single strip will give me all the leather I need. Out comes my favourite tool, the Charter-made skiving knife. This is an amazing blade and works really well for this application. Stropping your knife before and after each use will help keep your edge razor sharp. I intend to wrap thin strips around the spokes with neoprene cement glue, so my first mission will be to skive the strips of leather as thin as possible. I've now got all three pieces ready and they're as thin as I can comfortably get them for this project. Cement glue is a great all-rounder and sticks to nearly everything. I'm not certain exactly how well it's going to work here, but it's also the best I've got. When using cement glue, the most important rule that is often overlooked is to apply it on both surfaces you want to stick together and let it dry to the touch before applying pressure. Once all the pieces are dried up, I wrap the leather as tightly as possible around the spoke and let them dry for 20 to 30 minutes. As you can see, these are still much too big for the shells and will need quite a bit of work, so out comes the Dremel once more, and using a sanding attachment wheel, I get to work shaping the leather tips. This is a fun process, and work does go quite fast. It's nice to pause from time to time to review my process and see how far I still need to go. It's great to feel the leather slowly form to the perfect tight fit we're looking for, and I can just feel the leather piece grip into the inside of the shell in a very satisfying way. I'm not going to show you much of the actual shaping of the pieces, as this is just repetitive and there isn't much secret to it. So let's skip straight to the final step before we can assemble, which is going to be drilling. Using a very fine drill bit and making sure I don't go all the way through the base support of my piece, I go ahead and drill 3 pilot holes or 3 support holes where my 3 shells are going to rest. The final result is much cooler looking than I had anticipated. These shells had been lying on a shelf gathering dust, and I really did not think that placing them in a container, a glass bell like this, would set them off so beautifully. It's always quite intriguing to me to be able to see inside something this ubiquitous, but that we'd never get to see in this light normally, and I'm very pleased with the way these turned out. I do hope this is giving you some food for thought, that this has inspired you and maybe has given you some fun, cool ideas for your next project. If you've enjoyed this build today, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this video where I restore a 100-year-old strap cutter that had been left at the bottom of a box for the past 3 decades.